Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a real treat for you. It's actually one of my very few brand new records that was not a vintage pressing from back in the day. And that is Weezer Blue Album, or Weezer self-titled. This is Weezer's first self-titled album. They tended to do this quite a bit with their colored albums. They have ones like the teal album, the green album, red album, and the black album, and the white album. Yes, Weezer has its own white album. I should mention that the vinyl we are listening to in the background is Lawrence Welk's Baby Elephant Walk on the Dot Records label. Back to Weezer, though. This was their first self-titled album, like I said. It was released on May 10th, 1994, and was recorded August through September of the previous year. Genre is alt-rock, alternative rock. Length is 41 minutes and 36 seconds, with this album spawning 3 singles: Sweater Song in June, Buddy Holly in September, and Say It Ain't So in July of 1995. Band personnel on this album include Rivers Cuomo, Matt Sharp, Brian Bell, and Pat Wilson. Rivers Cuomo obviously being lead guitarist and vocalist, he's right here. Brian Bell, this chap, is a rhythm guitarist, also solo guitarist. Matt Sharp, right here, bassist, and Pat Wilson is the drummer. These two guys are not with the band anymore. However, Brian Bell was actually a replacement for guitarist Jason Cropper, who, after starting to act erratically, was dismissed from the band, as Rivers Cuomo thought he to be a detriment to their future success. The album's producer was Rick Ocasek, after being selected for his work with the band The Cars. Initially, Weezer wanted to produce this album themselves, but after the owner of Geffen Records heard the kitchen tapes, he insisted that they use a producer. For the recording of this album, Rivers Cuomo wanted a very loud guitar mix. Part of his inspiration for part of the guitar mixing on Say It Ain't So was by Radiohead's Creep, which had come out earlier in the 90s and had inspired Rivers to some of the sounds that he wanted on this album, with the loud guitar overtaking vocals at some points. And I think that is a very genius move, because he was capitalizing on the sound of a very popular song and applying that to a whole album, which I believe works really, really well for the early 90s alt-rock movement. Sorry if I'm looking down, my teleprompter is down here. So, the cover. The iconic cover featuring all the members of the band was shot by Peter Gowland. And actually, fun fact, this album cover was edited in Adobe Photoshop. Now, I don't know how far back Adobe Photoshop goes in album covers, but I believe this to be a very early example of Adobe Photoshop being used. And it wasn't just used to superimpose the band onto a blue background, but it was actually also used to replace Matt Sharp's head, because in the shot that they used, he did not like the face that he was making, so they used a different shot from the photo shoot and superimposed his head onto his body to make the picture we see today. And you can kind of tell that it is superimposed, but it looks really good. I believe this to be one of the most iconic album covers, if not of the 90s, but ever. And on some releases, it does show their lower half of their legs and their feet, but this, just the regular vinyl pressing, does not show that. I don't think the CD pressing does either. I believe the deluxe version of the vinyl and CD do show their feet, so it's a little bit of a zoomed out image, but my copy does not have that. Now, this album is certified 3 times platinum in the United States. It peaked on the it peaked number 16 on the Billboard Hot 200 albums. And Buddy Holly actually did the best out of all the singles, peaking at number 17 on the Billboard 100 airplay chart, which I don't know what the airplay chart is. I don't think it has anything to do with Apple AirPlay, because the chart has been around since obviously the 90s, so I don't know. Now, reception. Rolling Stone magazine praised this album. They absolutely loved it. And looking at some reviews and some ratings by other contemporary music magazines of the time, they too loved this album. And I also love this album. Obviously, I'm not a big publication like Rolling Stone magazine, but, you know, my opinion still stands. The music video for Buddy Holly, which if you have not seen, I suggest you go watch. It's a parody of Happy Days. Well, it's not really a parody, but it's basically them playing like in an episode of Happy Days. It's really cool, actually. But nevertheless, the band won many awards for that music video. And this album has been included on almost every single greatest albums of all time list, or albums you should listen to before you die. This album is on here. It's just a brilliant album. Now, for final thoughts, what do I think about this album? First of all, track listing. I think everything is laid out very well. Side 2 opener, Say It Ain't So, genius. Buddy Holly, obviously really good. Sweater Song, of course, the big three. In the Garage, just amazing. I love the lyrics. And, you know, talking about his D&D, I think he mentions a D20 dice in his posters. Of course, great. My Name is Jonas, opening track on the album. Great opener. I love that one. The World Has Turned and Left Me Here. It's super good. I just love all of the songs on here. I think this is a wonderful album. Now, I'm not sure about copyright, but I'm going to try and record a little snippet from a couple of the songs on the turntable and try to put it on YouTube. No guarantees, though. I will, at some point, do a longer cut of this video for Odyssey. So I will have the playing demos on there. A couple of things I wanted to talk about. Oh, yeah. With this pressing of the vinyl, I believe is, 2016. I think it's a remaster. You get a poster of the band's gear and stuff. Pretty neat poster. I believe this is from the Say It Ain't So music video. I believe it is. I don't know if this poster comes with the original pressing from the 90s. Oh, no, this is the 2004 remaster, printed 2016. Okay. Alright, cool. Yep, and then obviously the album is in here in just a regular paper sleeve. As far as sleeves go, I like the paper plastic hybrid ones that you get with some EMI, some Beatles re-releases. I really like those. But paper is fine. It's not the worst. Some people say that the paper can scratch up your vinyl. One thing paper does do is introduce static electricity onto the vinyl, which isn't good, but you can remove that. Scratches you cannot remove. Anyways, let's throw this on the desk and see what this album looks like. All right, so here we have Weezer Blue Album in all its glory. Obviously, like I said, this is a actual new pressing. So it is not the vintage one. So if we pull the contents out here, we have album, we have the poster that I just showed you, and out of the sleeve comes the disc. Now, the disc is not a heavyweight 180 gram, but it's not a lightweight either. I feel it's more like a 70 to 80 gram. I do not have a scale yet that is precise enough to measure in grams, but it feels more like a 70 to 80 gram disc. It's a midweight disc. It's not flexible like the old Capitol discs used to be, but it's not super heavyweight like some of the new Beatles stuff and, you know, audiophile level kind of stuff. But it's a very good sounding album, and I think that it has some of it to do with that the album originally recorded onto, you know, like analog tapes and stuff was a very good and very well produced album for its time. And also the fact that it has a more heavier weight to mid-weight vinyl pressing lends itself very well to my, you know, my Denon turntable with its tracking. It's just the bass is really tight, the highs are clear, you know, cymbals are sparkly, the basses are muddy, they're very punchy, you know, it's just a very nice sounding album. So I would actually recommend you go out and buy this album today. It's a very good sounding album. I would prefer a vintage copy because, you know, that's just how I am, but this is a very solid pressing of this album, and I would really suggest that you go out and buy this. I do not know retail on this. This was a gift given to me for a Christmas present, but I'd have to say it's anywhere from 30 to 50 bucks. I'm just not sure at all. It'd probably be cheaper on Amazon. Anyways, bit of a, you know, medium length video this time. Not too short, not too long. I'm gonna try to get into some more recording. I've got a video coming up. I bought something not only for the channel but for myself personally. I bought AirPods. Anyways, that's a video for another time. This has been RNC Music coming at you from my basement to talk about Weezer. And I am out.